we're thankful that we don't have to be beat anymore, especially up to this time. So we are. How many in here has read what time is it serves, or has heard it? What time is it serves? That's bothered me quite a bit. If you haven't, I wish some way if you could get to hear it or some way. Kind of bothered me. I just wanted to drop this before starting the service. About a week or 10 days ago, I was so disturbed. I just didn't. I wouldn't take services or anything because I didn't know it. It seemed like it could be something that was bad, and I didn't know just what it was. So one early morning, I got up to go up in the Sabina Canyon, which from the house is only about 30 minutes drive or 40 to the head of the Sabina Canyon. And then there's a road that runs 30 miles up into the mountain. Strange country. Up there, I can be here on the desert where it's 80 and 90 right now, and in 30 minutes be an 8 foot of snow, see, on top of the mountain. We was at Phoenix just recently, where it was 20-something, 28 degrees. They had the swimming pool heated, people swimming, and about 40 minutes drive from there was 40 below zero at Flagstaff. See? That's the difference from the up currents and the desert. And very healthy for asthmatics and so forth. But now I went up in the canyon and I climbed way as high as I could go, and I asked the Lord while setting up in there what all this meant and so forth. I was kind of bothered and didn't know just what to do. And so while I was praying, a strange thing happened. I want to be honest. Now, I could have fallen to sleep. It could have been like a trance, or it could have been a vision. I'm more or less inclined to believe that it was a vision. That I had my hands out saying, Lord, what does this blast mean? And what does these 7 angels and a constellation of the pyramid picking me up from off the ground and turning eastward, what does it mean? I was standing there in prayer, and something happened, and now something fell in my hand. Now, I know if you don't understand spiritual things, it may seem very strange, but something struck in my hand, and when I looked, it was a sword, and the handle was made of pearl, the prettiest pearl I ever seen. And the guard, where I guess it's to keep your hands from being lanced, while the people were dueling, was gold. And the saber's blade wasn't too long, but it was just razor sharp, and it was glistening silver. And it was the prettiest thing I ever seen. It just fit my hand exactly. And I was holding it, I said, isn't that pretty? I looked at it and I thought, but I'm always afraid of a sword. I was kind of glad that I lived out of the days that they used them, because I'm afraid of a knife. And so I thought, what would I do with that? And while holding it in my hand, a voice from somewhere said, that is the king's sword. And then it left me. Well, I wondered what it meant. That is the king's sword. And I thought if it would have said a king's sword, it might have been that I would have understood it, but it said the king's sword. So I may not have this right, but I thought there's only one the king, that's God. And his sword is this, sharper than a two-edged sword, see? And he abide me in my words, see? And something struck my hand. Now, radio audience, this may seem strange as I have said, but it's the truth, and God is my judge. I looked at my hand, and there was a sword. Had a sheath over the handle part, and the handle itself was made of pearl. It just looked like kind of a gold-like guard over the handle part, and the the knife itself looked rather like it was kind of a shiny, like, oh, something like chrome or something glistening in the sun. Now it's about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, way on top of a mountain. You can imagine how a person feel that I'm in my right mind would feel standing there with a sword from nowhere, people for miles and miles, holding that in your hand. I felt of it, took and waved the blade back and forth, and why, it was a sword. And I looked around and I said, well, now, how could that ever happen? Here I am standing here, right here, and no one around for miles and miles, and where did that come from? And I said, well, I suppose maybe it's the Lord telling me it's my end time. And a voice spoke and said, this is the sword of the Lord. And I thought, well, a sword then is for like a king to knight, you know, how they used to do in England and different places. I thought that's what that is for, to knight. And I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to lay hands on people. I had all kinds of, human mind can be all messed up, you know, you don't know. Our mind is finite, His is infinite. So, and as I was, then it left my hand, and I didn't know where it went, just disappeared. Well, if a person didn't understand a little bit about spiritual things, you'd go crazy like that. You'd be standing there and wonder what happened. And he said, the vision is not your end time, it's for your ministry. That sword is the Word. The 7 seals will be opened, the mysteries of. And then 2 weeks after that, or 2 months rather after that, I was up in the mountain with a bunch of friends when it happened. 7 angels, just as clear as you're standing here, came sweeping down from heaven. The rocks and the mountains rolled out and down the hills, and people stand there with screaming and going on and on, and dust flying everywhere. And when it was, he said, return to your home now. Will be, each angel will be one of the seals of the 7 seals, which is